I was cold, and now I'm warm. Thank you, Cece. Hello, everyone, and to my life partner, Harlan, to our brilliant and beautiful children, Naja and Kai, and my big brother, Dan, and to everyone who has come here today from all over this city. Thank you. My name is Maya Wiley, and I'm running for mayor because I believe in this city. Now I know there are folks who don't believe in us. Not long ago, the President of the United States, I think as I recall, he was from here. But even he suggested that we would never recover. Well, I am standing here today because I have an unshakable belief in the genius of our people. I stand here today to declare that New York, we will come back. Stronger, fairer, and more just. With humility and a commitment to do the hard work, I hold out my hand to you in hopes that you will clasp mine on this journey of faith. My own journey. I can't remember all my young years, but one of my earliest living on the Lower East Side in a Mitchell-Lama apartment. But my family's journey took them to D.C. But I do remember as a young child falling in love with this city. You know, my mother put my brother and I on an Amtrak to come meet our father. My father, Dan's father, was a civil rights leader who would come here to organize often. And she handed us hot dog money, my favorite thing. And she put us on that train. I just remember holding my hot dog, running through the cars, so anxious, so impatient to get here. And then that moment happened. You know, passing through Newark, where you come out, and then the skyline suddenly emerges in front of you. The Empire State Building, the Chrysler Building, the World Trade Center building still under construction, cranes perched on top, touching the sky. I was done. I was in love. And look, here is the thing. Through the eyes of a young child, there is no denying that the mere existence of this place is a miracle. And the buildings, yes, we love them, but not just the buildings, it's the people. 8 million people from so many countries. I don't even have time to list them all here today. From all over the country, bringing memories, skills, memories, recipes, and most importantly, dreams. From saving for the small businesses that power our communities, like our beauty salons, our barbershops, bodegas, and shawarma stands, to the largest companies in the world, born out of the brains of folks in New York City walk-ups. This is a city where you wake up knowing you can turn every corner and know anything is possible. Anything. But as I stand here today, we are a city in pain. We are mourning 24,000 of our neighbors, our friends, our loved ones. 24,000. That is more people than we can fit in Madison Square Garden. I know what it feels like to lose someone close, someone irreplaceable, someone who means the whole world. That hole remains in our hearts long after the world has moved on. Watching a loved one die and knowing you can't help. I've lived that pain. I live it still. For 4 decades, after watching my father drown, as a lanky, stubborn 9-year-old girl, I fought like I could save him, and it didn't work. So when I try to think of 24,000 families who could not touch or hold their loved one, like I could not touch my father or feel him hold me ever again, I have to tell you, the weight of that pain is unimaginable. My brother and I, 2 little kids, 9 and 10 years old, alone on the boat, were watching the waves wash away our father. We had to find a way to live. So we had to look each other in the eye, fight back the tears, drive a boat to shore, and find a way. And the real hard fight, coming back as a family to find our purpose while carrying him in our hearts still. That is survival. And that is what we must do now as a city. Look each other in the eye like my brother and I did. We must grasp hands like my brother and I did. Fight our way back together, even with the tears streaming down our faces. We fought our way back after September 11th, after Hurricane Sandy, and we will fight our way back again. But we do have to face facts. COVID-19 is still here, and so is the other crisis facing our city. An economic crisis that has put millions out of work and shuttered thousands of businesses. And let's be clear, we are hurting more than ever. But the economic pain in this city, that's not new. And even before COVID-19 came to our shores, over 1 million New Yorkers wondered whether they could afford to put food on the table and where they would get it if they couldn't. Wondered if they'd be able to pay the rent on the first of the month and where they would sleep if they didn't. We had an affordability crisis. We had a crisis of racial inequality and a crisis of confidence in our leaders who made all of it worse. And when COVID-19 put each of these crises on a bullet train, if we don't act, if we don't recognize that bullet train, it will run us over. We will see an increase in homelessness. We will see an increase in evictions. We already have healthcare costs skyrocketing and shootings taking our babies while parents are petrified that their sons like my godsons, and their daughters may get caught in the crossfire. On top of all this, we are still contending with our nation's oldest virus, systemic racism. It's the reason Black and Latino New Yorkers are twice as likely to die of COVID. And it's why so many essential workers came from communities of color, while most of the folks who could flee to the houses in the Catskills or the beachside highways didn't. During our darkest days in March and April, our essential workers, the doctors and nurses on our front lines in our hospitals, people stocking and restocking grocery shelves, delivering packages when we thought any day we walked out of the door could be our last. They kept this city alive. They're the ones we made noise for every night at 7 p.m. And today they need more than applause. Communities of color need more than applause. New Yorkers need more than applause. They need a lifeline and the leadership who will throw. And right when we need help most, our city's revenue streams have been ravaged, leaving us in a hole $9 billion deep. And how does this administration respond? By cutting education, affordable housing, public transportation, but letting the trash pile up on our streets and in our parks. All of these cuts, while the budget of our police department remains virtually untouched. Look, New York's leaders did not bring COVID to our city, but let's be clear. They are responsible for the decisions they made and failed to make on everything from when to close and when to reopen schools and what budget priorities this city needs. And we are all paying the price now. But here's the thing. When tragedy strikes, New Yorkers get busy. We pull it together. We figure it out. And we must seize this moment of uncertainty to reimagine our city, because the coronavirus has blown the lid off of what is possible. Look, there's no going back to the New York City of the past. That city had its own problems. It is now time to build a New York of the future. A New York with a smart budget that's also a moral budget. A New York where healthcare is a right, where it's easier to get a job than a gun, and where every business, large and small, can thrive. A New York where housing is affordable to all because we commit to development without displacement. Because we commit to a NYCHA that is stronger, healthier, and respected. And we are going to commit to our cultural life and institutions like the Brooklyn Museum, where my children got an arts education. A New York where we put people back to work, building a 22nd century public transportation system and investing in infrastructure. We need to make our city resilient, sustainable in the face of climate change. A New York where we put public back in public safety and make sure that accountable law enforcement solves problems rather than creates them. A New York where leaders don't just issue decrees from on high in a small closed room. And they don't pass the buck either, but instead bring people together, workers and activists, academics and artists, faith leaders and business leaders, together. That's what I will do. Over the next few months, I will be partnering with New Yorkers across the boroughs, organize people's assemblies for recovery to ensure that everyone has a say in what our principles and policies are, the ideas and opportunities that will remake New York. It's simple. It's simple. It's simple. I'm running for mayor to build a New York where no matter who you are, no matter what you look like, no matter who you love or how you identify, no matter your faith, whether you have a big bank account or no bank account at all, whether you live in public housing or in luxury condos, you can live a life of dignity here, right here. This is the New York we have the power to create together, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And it would be my great honor to travel that road hand in hand with the people of our great city as your next mayor. experience accepting bad deals. I don't have experience campaigning across all boroughs of this city, but only showing up when it's convenient. I don't have experience being so afraid to make a wrong decision that I make no decision at all. If I am mayor, you will never have to wonder who's in charge. You will never have to question whether anyone is listening, whether the mayor even wants the job. You will never have to ask yourself whether you matter. You will never have to wonder whether I'm in Iowa. I am not a conventional candidate. But guess what? Changing it up is not the risk. Electing the same people, making the same promises over and over again, and expecting things to be different. That's the risk we can't afford. And here's what I do have. The kind of experiences you actually need to lead this city. I had two incredible parents with the highest levels of education who read to me from all the right books before I started kindergarten. And, no surprise, I was at the top of my class in my segregated public school. 2 years behind grade level. 2 years. And that's why I know that if black and brown children in this city are struggling in school, it is not their fault. That's how I know it is not the fault of their parents. It's because we still have not dismantled the structural racism that keeps people who look like us in schools that look like ours 2 damn years behind. That's the experience I have, and it's why I came to this city for law school to be a civil rights lawyer. It's why I went to the ACLU to fight for full funding for public schools. It's why I worked at the NAACP Legal Defense Fund to ensure access to health care. It's why I worked for a major foundation to fight racism, to fight poverty, to fight criminal injustice, and it's why I founded an organization committed to dismantling structural racism. And when our current mayor promised to fight economic inequality, I was on mission. So I brought my work experience and my life experience to City Hall. And I didn't pick fights, and I didn't hold press conferences because I was too busy getting it done. Working across multiple agencies to expand free public broadband access so kids at Queensbridge houses would be able to get free Wi-Fi and do their homework. More than tripling the amount of money to be paid to women and minority-owned business enterprises in this city through government contracts, like my mama had that put food on our table. Pulling city agencies together for the first ever sanctuary city law in order to protect our undocumented brothers and sisters from a Donald Trump presidency we didn't even know was coming. And when I left City Hall in 2016, I did not run from the work. I took on the Civilian Complaint Review Board, sent the police department our recommendation for charges against Daniel Pantaleo, the police officer who killed Eric Garner, which is what finally led him to be pushed off the force. Over my time in government, I saw firsthand what is possible, how City Hall can lead to transform the city for the better. And I also saw how it fails. But I believe in my bones, to my very core, that if we open our hearts to one another, if we open our minds, and we take ourselves off the treadmill of incrementalism, and together we beat a path to transformation, we can create a bold and new way of doing things. We can bring about the reimagination this moment demands. Now, job, all of you. Because the person standing here before you today, my wife, candidate for mayor of this great city, is the same as that little girl on that Amtrak train, holding a hot dog, sitting next to her big brother, thinking, this city, with all its grit and in all its glory, is the most magical place I have ever seen. Because I believe in New York, because I believe in New Yorkers, and because I know we will show this world what we can do, just how committed we are to each other and to our city, to the concrete jungle where dreams are made of. So I want to thank you all for what we are about to do together. Make history. Let's get it done.
Welcome to the